So let's find out where the image forms on these spherical mirrors, or circular mirrors, sorry, cylindrical. We're going to take that like this. Here's going to be our cylindrical mirror. Of course, the radius of this that comes out to the center that causes that circle that the mirror was cut from is going to give the symbol C. And the point that the light crosses, this is the focal point. Okay, and that's given the symbol F. So we've got a couple of rules like we talked about. What happens if I'd say, here's my image way out here? I'll continue along the principal axis. Let's put an arrow out here. Okay. All I really need to do is trace two lines. Take two lines, and you can choose any one of those rules we've talked about to see where they go. And you take their reflected lines and you come backwards. I'm going to switch between colors here. I'll go between, sorry, green and blue. And I'm going to just take a ray in. The first ray I'm going to go in is going to be parallel to this central meridian. I'm going to come to the mirror. When I come to the mirror, that's the incoming light. Okay. Where's that going to go? Well, any ray parallel through the parallel to the central meridian is going to be reflected, and it's going to go through the focus. So that's the rule we just learned about a second ago. That's where one of those is going to be, the reflected light. I can also send a ray from this tip. I'm just going to find where the tip of the arrow is over here someplace to see, what happens to this image. I'm going to draw that ray, and I'm going to draw that through the center. Well, what's nice about that is if I draw it through the center, what's it going to do? It's going to come right back. If that's where it's going in, it's going to come right back along the center because that is the normal. Okay? So, as a matter of fact, without drawing those, I need to draw those in a different color. That blue is going to draw it right along here. So there's the reflected light back from that beam. Where those lines cross is where the tip of this arrow is going to be. Well, I don't have to extend them backwards because they're never going to cross back here. They're crossing here. So we know that the tail of the arrow, because it's in on the center, has to still be on the central meridian. So that arrow is going to come in, and it's going to be right here from the central meridian down to where those cross. Okay, so that's the arrow, that's the image that forms. Okay, if you take a mirror and you look at it, you can actually focus an image, if I can get close enough, because that is going to create the image of this right down here. Okay, now there's a couple of things that are true about this image. One is that it's smaller than the first one, so we call that it's reduced. If it's bigger, then it's magnified. That ratio of sizes is the magnification ratio. So the height of this guy versus the height of that guy, you'd say, oh, it's 5 times higher. Magnification's 5. The other thing you notice is it's flipped upside down, so that's called inverted. Okay, if it was right side up and looked just like this, that's not inverted. Okay, so it's inverted if it's upside down. It's not inverted. The third kind of description, so first, is it magnified or is it reduced? Is it inverted or is it upright? Upright and inverted. The last one, is it real or is it imaginary? Now, if it's real, I could put a piece of paper here and literally have that image show up on that piece of paper. If it shows up on this side where the light actually travels, it is real. Where if the two lights actually physically cross, this one that came here would have gone this way, this light came back, those blue lines actually physically crossed, that is called a real image because you could put a piece of paper there and you'd see it. If it has to be extended behind the mirror where light cannot go, then they call that imaginary. Okay, so you can't put a piece of paper there because the light actually gets blocked from going there. You would not form an image. So those are the three kinds of ways we could talk about the image that's made. Is it magnified or reduced? Is it inverted or upright? And is it imaginary or real? Okay, so those three things are things that we know about light and the images they make through a mirror.